Welcome to Ron Knows Stuff, and welcome to Make Your Money Work for You. Own your money. Today's topics, we're going to talk about money basics, how to keep your money safe, making a plan, what income and expenses are, zero balance budget, debt management, and of course, your income and savings management, income diversity, and questions and answers. So, income is money you make. Very simple. You make it, it's income. Expense is money you spend. So if you don't spend it, you still have it. But you're going to spend it on needs and wants, and they'll help you decide how to use your money. So needs are shelter, food, transportation, maybe cell phone. Wants are that shiny new vehicle that's better than basic transportation, new clothes, maybe even a corgi puppy. Learning when to say no is so important. We're going to dig into that a little bit, but I'm telling you, no is your best friend when it comes to spending your money. Planning is your money working for you instead of you working for your money. Let's repeat that. Planning is work is you is Planning is your money working for you instead of you working for your money. If you owe people money, you're working for your money. But if you owe nobody a dime, your money is now working for you instead. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Ben Franklin once said that, and it's a great thing to live by. Planning, a budget is important. Know what your money is doing. You get to say where your dollar is spent, not a finance company. And it also helps you become aware of hidden expenses or fees. And when you have that budget, you can say to a friend who asks for money, sorry, it's not in the budget. So let's talk about these things before we move on. Knowing what your money is doing. I used to work in banking, and I had a customer come in to argue about an overdraft fee. Me being the guy that I am, I said, well, let's explore why you have an overdraft fee and see what we can do. I said, oh, here it is. You have, and this is when AOL was around, you have AOL that you're paying $30 a month for. She goes, no, I canceled $30 AOL 3 years ago. I said, well, no, because I'm looking at your last three statements and you've been charged $29.95 all 3 months. So I suspect you never really canceled it. So I asked her, when's the last time you looked at your statement? Oh, well, so exactly. She did not plan, and therefore she was planning to fail. Take a look at all your expenses. When you have a budget, you're going to become aware of hidden expenses or fees. And because you have a budget, a friend's going to ask you, as they all do, hey, can I borrow $10? Can I have $5? Can I do this? And all you have to do, sorry, it's not in the budget. It's no longer you that's saying no, it's the budget that's saying no. And by having a budget, you can simply say, it's not in the budget. And when they ask you, what do you mean? Say, well, I budget every single dollar so I know where it goes and I have every dollar accounted for. There's not a spare dollar to give, but maybe I can put it in next month's budget. So ask me then. But of course, you're not going to put it in next month's budget. But it gives you an easy out, and I'm telling you, this works great. Question is, a bank or a credit union? What type of accounts do I need for successful banking? Well, first of all, you want to find a checking account that has no fees. And the same thing with the savings account. And yes, you want both a checking and a savings account. Now, whether you have it at a credit union or a bank, I recommend both. Mrs. Ron Knows Stuff and I have several bank accounts and a credit union. And the reason we do that is when we need something, we already have relationships established. So, for example, we went to the credit union and looked at their CD rates. We looked at the bank and looked at their CD rates. And our bank has much better CD rates than the credit union. But sometimes if you need to borrow money, the credit union might have a better rate. It again, having relationships with both are very important because when you need something, you already are established and they're going to take better care of you because you are an established client. So, zero based budget. And what that means is you're going to list your monthly income and then you're going to list your expenses in order of priority. Of course, your housing, your utilities, your food, your medical expenses, all those are top priority. And you keep listing those expenses and you write down they are until you come down to zero. You subtract those expenses from your income and then you get to zero. That's called a zero based budget. You want to track your expenses all month long and you want to make a new budget based on all the things you're learning before the next month begins. Now, I'm going to give you a hint, and it says it right there in writing. It does take a few months before you get really good at zero based budgeting. But I am telling you, this is the key to your success because you're going to know where every dollar goes and you get to say where every dollar goes. Now, if you run out of income before you run out of expenses, you got to take a good look at what you're doing. Maybe you need to get, an additional job or do YouTubes and maybe get finances off of that. Please like and share. But you've got to find ways to increase your income or find ways to decrease your spending. And a zero based budget will help you keep a track of all your expenses. So here's an example of one. You can see I have the income up there, and I've got weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I totaled it up, and then and I did this on Excel because then when I plug in rent or my mortgage, electric, water, food, cable, cell phone, vehicle payment, which we'll talk about that, debt reduction, all these things are right there for you, and you can see. And now I do have an entertainment because you do need to have fun. But if you're running short on money, that's where it comes out first. That's kind of your incentive. And then I have a want account. Now, you're going to have an emergency fund, which is you don't ever want to use credit cards because, oh, there was an emergency. Like, that's just, you want to have an emergency fund. For example, I had a flat tire and I had to buy a new tire. I wasn't concerned about it because I had an emergency fund. Now, the want account, that's totally separate. Like if you want a new corgi or a new couch or something, you want to put that into the want account and you want to set that goal so that you can achieve that new couch, that new dog, that new outfit, whatever you want in a timely manner. And you set that account up so that you're always putting into it. Because again, you need to enjoy your life. And by having a great budget, you'll have a great life. Income and savings. So be prepared. I mean, an emergency fund is just that. It's an emergency fund. It's important because when that emergency does happen, it's so much easier on your life when you have it planned out. So an emergency is no longer an emergency. It's an inconvenience because you have money to handle the situation. How do you start it and how much? Well, you know what? Even if you start with $5 and start building it from there, that's great. But you want to get it up to 6 months at minimum of your salary or what your living expenses. Let's put it that way. 6 months is where you want to get. How you start, you just have to force yourself to start and make sure it is a top item on your budget. You want to fund that emergency account because I'm telling you, the greatest feeling in the world is when something happens and you go, I got the money, no problem. Don't be afraid to use it when it is truly an emergency. And it has to be an emergency. Getting my haircut is not an emergency. Birthdays are not an emergency because they happen every year. You should be able to plan out for those things. And yes, put them on your budget. A wants fund, man, that's your fun money. And if you want to go on vacation, you save for it in the wants fund. You do not want to mix the wants fund with the emergency fund. Keep them separate, but make sure you do your budget in such a way that you get to enjoy your life. Retirement shortcuts. Some people will tell you wait until you get your 6 months up before you start retirement funds, but you want to retire with money in the bank. It's never too early to start. I mean, if you're 18 or and you're just getting out of high school and you can start saving into a 401k, a Roth um, retirement fund, anything you can do to start your retirement, because that money compounds, and compounding is a beautiful thing. You make more money. So like if I put $10,000 in when I was 18, now I would have $1 million just on that. Well, I don't know what the real math is, but you get the idea. It not even adding to it, the interest will you get interest on top of interest, and that just keeps multiplying. So that's a great, great thing. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Um, it's kind of hard for us to do questions because this is recorded, but please put your questions in the comments and I will answer every one of them. I do appreciate you watching. I hope you like this video. If you want more things or financial advice, auto advice, life advice, please let me know because Ron knows stuff. And thanks again for watching. We appreciate it. Bye bye.